Welcome to Bobby Owsinski's Inner Circle. I'm Bobby Owsinski, and this is a show all about music, music production, and the music business. My guest today is MattTaff, who's the head of business development for Owsinski. First of all, let's talk about too many choices. There's an old salesman's adage that goes something like this: don't give the customer more than two choices, because they'll more than likely just throw up their hands and say, I can't make up my mind, and walk away. This is the case in so many things in sales where you see two, maximum three choices because, again, you have too many variables and people just can't make up their mind. When you look at streaming services with their huge 20, 30, 35 million song catalogs, that's sort of what's happening. There are so many songs that most of them don't get played. And literally in a year, most of them don't get played, and the vast majority of them only get played less than 10 times. There's been several studies that have found out that in a catalog of 25 million, you'll find only about 5% get played, what many might call a lot, and only 1% get played what you might think of as a heavy amount. So, in fact, those 20, 25, 35 million songs aren't doing anybody any good, not even the streaming services. For a while, it seemed like that was a big selling feature, but the fact of the matter is, people are throwing up their hands and say, why should I pay $9.95 for something that I probably am not going to listen to? Well, one of the best-known industry consultants out of the UK, Mark Mulligan, who's a really smart guy, he has a solution to this, and what he says is what we should be having instead are smaller catalogs for a very limited service. And what that would mean is a service that focuses just on one thing, for instance, a genre. So if you like heavy metal, you'll go to the heavy metal service, and that's all you're going to get, just metal. It could be by artists. Maybe there's a group of similar artists. Americana, for instance, those type of artists, that might be a better choice for someone. Maybe it's playlists. Maybe there are certain type of playlists that lump into a genre or lump into a category that people would much rather pay for. Now, the whole idea is to have a lower price for more of a niche. And that would be better for all concerned. It'd be better for the streaming service because they'd get more fanatical customers that would be willing to spend, even if they didn't listen as much as they thought they would. It would be better for the artists because they're getting a more targeted audience that are listening to them. Better for everyone involved. So, is this going to happen? Well, it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon, but it's something that's worth considering. Another thing that people really hate is the fact that on many of these services that have these huge catalogs, there are so many cover songs. There are so many copies of a song. There are so many karaoke versions that you go and you do a search for a particular song and you have to wade through a dozen or several dozen different versions to find the one that you actually want. So again, that's not really doing anybody any good. So let's see if in the future people start to wake up with this, and it's especially the major labels because they're in control of the licensing of all this, and see if niche services are, in fact, a better way to go when it's all said and done. If you have any questions or comments, send them to questions@BobbyOInnerCircle.com. Don't forget about my new coaching program. It's 101 Mixing Tricks, big studio tricks for the small studio. You can go to 101mixingtricks.com to learn more. Now, next on the list, Avatar Recording in New York is up for sale. Avatar Recording is one of the last major New York recording studios. It used to be called Power Station, and it's been the home of many a major artist, going from Elton John, Aerosmith, David Bowie, Bon Jovi, Billy Joel, Madonna, Blondie, Chic, John Mayer, Adam Levine, just to name a few. Some huge records have come out of there. Seminal records. Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA, Rolling Stones' Some Girls, Peter Gabriel's So, Duran Duran's Seven and the Ragged Tiger. There's so many great records that have come from Power Station, Avatar, and now it's up for sale. Why is this happening? Well, major studios everywhere are falling into the same category with the same problem. Their real estate is worth more than the actual business. And the reason is because through the years, studios have not been able to raise their rates. As a matter of fact, if anything, they've gone down a little bit. So what you paid for a studio 20 years ago is about what you'd pay today. That being said, everything has gotten more expensive around it. The maintenance has gotten more expensive. The overhead has gotten more expensive. Everything has become more expensive to run a recording studio, and yet you can't charge more for it. On top of it, the real estate has gone through the roof in most cases. Just about every major city, the real estate has gone up and gone up a lot, especially in New York. And in New York, all of the major studios have been under siege for a long time, and most of them have fallen. And it looks like Avatar is going to be the next one. Now, the owners would really love for another buyer to come in and keep it as a studio. But the chances of that are fairly small. And I think what you're going to see is Avatar/Power Station is going to end up being another building of condos. So this is a bad trend. It's happening everywhere. In New York, there's really only a couple of the major studios left. It's Electric Lady, of course, and Manhattan Sound, which used to be called Right Track, and just about everything else has fallen by the wayside. In LA, a lot of that happened, but we've kind of had a moratorium on these things. Capitol is still around, and it's a historical site, so it looks like that will be around for a while. We still have Henson, for instance, which is the old A&M Charlie Chaplin lot, and that looks like that'll be around for a while. You have the record plant, and that's still doing well, and that will be around, I think, for a long time. Ocean Way may be the next one to fall because that was bought by Gower Studios next door, and even though they've been running it for a couple years and say they're going to run it as a studio for a few more years, I wouldn't be surprised if in fact that became a parking lot for the Gower Studios or something like that. So enjoy these major studios if and when you can, because they may not be around for much longer. My guest today is MattTaff, who's the head of business development for Owsinski. Owsinski is a company that does on-demand, customized manufacturing and printing of merch at a very competitive price. I spoke with Matt via Skype from his office in New York. Tell me about Owsinski. Tell me, how did it get started?
Yep, absolutely. So this was actually sort of the brainchild of Chase Landau, who is our CEO and founder. And basically what the concept is behind it originally is to sort of make something tangible in the kind of the increasingly digital world that we live in. So the idea originally stemmed from something like, hey, I really like that Instagram photo. I wish it was easier to put it on a t-shirt or a mug or something like that. And, from there it's kind of spiraled, or I guess kind of snowballed into this idea of where we are now, where it's essentially what it is a platform for sellers. So it's a way for artists or musicians or designers or really anyone who's a creative entrepreneur to be able to kind of have their own online shop for free. So the idea behind it is basically you go on, you set up your store, and you upload your custom designs to a t-shirt or an iPhone cover. And then the way it works is that we set our prices. So let's say, for example, a t-shirt is $10 on our end. What you can do is you can go on and say, okay, I want to charge 15 or 20 or 30 or whatever the market you think will bear for the t-shirt. And then when a single person buys that shirt, we print it, we ship it, and then we send it to the person and then deposit the money directly into the seller's account. So the cool thing is it's essentially a way to have your own shop without spending any money up front. You don't have to keep inventory. You don't have to keep any upfront costs. There's no minimum order restrictions that you'll find. So it's essentially a way to kind of empower creators. And anyone with a fan who has fans or following or anything like that, it's really just a neat and simple way for them to merchandise or to connect with their fans really pretty seamlessly. So the idea we originally sort of did a soft debut for it at the Northside Festival in Brooklyn, which is a really popular music festival. And, the response was pretty overwhelming. I mean, it really connected with these fans and it really resonated. And that's when we knew we kind of really had something because, as you can imagine, I'm sure you know this better than anyone, but merchandising can be a real pain in the butt for musicians. I mean, you probably have to order a couple hundred t-shirts in all different sizes and then keep them in your garage or your parents' garage and then ship them out one by one. And it's just a really time-consuming and expensive process, and you're kind of taking all the risk. So we've sort of taken all those pain points out. And, it's just, you go on, you upload your designs, and you have a store right away. And you can sell just one shirt and make money, or you can order shirts for yourself at cost. And it's sort of just a really seamless and pain-free way to merchandise. We're pretty excited.
There's a number of companies that do much the same thing. And they've been around for a while. It must be difficult to go up against established companies like that have a foothold already in the community. How do you go about that then to market yourself?
No, absolutely. And there are some big players in the space, and I've no problem mentioning them here. Cafe Press and Zazzle are two ones that really stand out. But the way we see it is that we're kind of competing with these other companies on a lot of different fronts. So Cafe Press and Zazzle, from a strictly custom on-demand printing, we're up against them. But the way we see ourselves is much more tailored towards creative entrepreneurs and is sort of like the young creatives who want to have their own brand and things like that. And first and foremost with those is that we are really killing it on the price. If you go on right now to Cafe Press and you wanted to order your own T-shirt, put your own colors on it, your own logo, things like that, you're probably going to be looking at between $20 and $27 for a shirt, for just a basic T-shirt. That same exact shirt on Owsinski would cost you $10 for the basic or $15 for the premium. And that's if you want to order for yourself, or that's how much you can mark up to your fans. So already, we have a huge advantage out the gate. Yeah. Besides that, we do full color for the same price and the same, it makes no difference to us if you order 1 or 100. There's no sort of, not more expensive to order a single unit. And we don't care if it's a picture or if it's just one color. So already we're kind of have a nice printing proprietary advantage over them. The way we print is super high quality, and it's one-offs. So just from a printing standpoint, we think we really compete with them. But also we're sort of more just going after the more creative market. And musicians, for instance, we find that a lot of them don't even know about these kind of sites. It's not that we're up against them. Not like Cafe Press is all the musicians are using them. They don't even realize there's a solution like this out there. So that's all we're reaching out right now to sort of a lot of strategic partners in the music industry, whether that's independent music labels or various music and tech blogs, or just reaching out directly to artists themselves, because we find a lot of people don't even know that there's something like this out there. And obviously the really established artists with millions of fans and followers, they already have merchandising contracts, and to be honest, from everything we've seen, they're kind of getting creamed on them. So we're really more on the up-and-coming musicians, the people who are independent, the people who are looking to get out of those terrible contracts, because we just have so much more freedom, so much more ability to kind of bring in real revenue and connect with your fans. And, that's where we think we can add the most value. It's just in being able to print these on-demand one-offs, and then also in just, our mission is to empower creators, and we really are passionate about that. And that's why we love working closely with amazing artists and great blogs and things like that.
I know that a lot of artists that I know want to use a service like this, but they've been prohibited mostly because of Cafe Press and Zazzle being so expensive. You could actually, put it like this: if you're going to make money with it, it's too expensive for the normal fan to buy using that service.
Exactly. So even if you can get them to spend $27 on a T-shirt, you might be making $2 or $3 on that. Where on our site, you'd be bringing in $17. That's like actual money for a band. That's something that you sell 100 of those, and that makes a difference, especially for a lot of these smaller bands.
You drop ship too, right?
Yes.
So in other words, if a fan buys something, that you'll drop ship directly to them, and it won't go to the artist first, right?
Exactly. The fans, they get shipped directly to them, and then the fan just pays the shipping fee. I think for a T-shirt, it's $2.95 anywhere in the USA.
Are T-shirts the primary product that you're offering?
Right now it's T-shirts. We sell a lot of iPhone covers. We also offer hoodies and mugs. We didn't really expect the mugs to be a huge seller, but it's a fun product. And then from there, we're definitely open to expanding to new products. Something we've been looking at a lot recently is like acrylics and vinyls and canvas prints and things like that. People can have it on their walls. We've heard a lot of artists like the kind of square acrylic ones because they can put their album cover on there, and that's really cool. But, for now we have those, the 4 T-shirt, iPhone cover, mug, and hoodie. And then in the T-shirt, we also offer women's tank tops and men's tank tops, some premiums and some V-necks and things like that. But, we're listening to our our customers, and we're always open to adding new products. Something we've been experimenting with recently is maybe tote bags and things like that. But we really want to kind of nail those 4 and then see what the next step would be.
Yeah, for an artist, I guess the number one product is always T-shirts. But the fact of the matter is there are so many other things that could sell as well, especially in a bundle. But I've seen artists make, big mistakes with things. Like, for instance, they get lighters and they have 1,000 lighters. Exactly. And that's not always something good. It's fewer people smoke, first of all. So
yeah, and then maybe they're not waving at the shows like they used to. And the thing also is that, as much as we are open to looking at different products, we're not a promotional products company. We're really a place for creators to have their own online shop. It's not just like, oh, we're going to put your band name on a pen and on a hat and on a golf ball. And you know what I mean? It's really things that are practical and things that the fans really want. So we found that the T-shirts and especially the iPhone covers are something where we've seen a lot of success so far.
Does the store reside on your site, or does it reside on the artist's site?
Yeah, so right now it's on the Owsinski platform. Something that we'll be implementing within the next, I spoke to the developer, so within the next 3 or 4 weeks, we're building out an API. So essentially anyone who has their own site, if you're a band and you have your website, you would just have to add a tab. Let's say you use WordPress, add a tab that just says store or whatever you want to call a shop. And then we'll give you a line of code to embed. And then the way it'll work is that it'll display on your site as the store that looks like on Owsinski, but it'll live on your site and it'll be under your URL. So that's something we're going to be rolling out very soon because we've heard that from a lot of people that, this is great, but we want to put it on our site, and we completely understand that. And that's something that's sort of our top priority to be building out in the next month.
Yeah, another reason why that's important is Google Jail. You know about that, right?
Well, for SEO purposes.
No, Google, if you're running ads via Google and you violate the terms of agreement, which most people do without realizing it, then they suspend your account. And, many people call that Google Jail. And one of the reasons why is if you point someone to a URL that you don't own, then you violate the terms of agreement. So if your store, for instance, doesn't have your URL in it, then you go to jail, which is kind of a drag.
Yeah, definitely. We should definitely look into that for sure. We don't want to send anyone to Google jail.
What do you think is like the price limit for an item? And what I'm trying to get at is we know how low we can go, and that's pretty much with patches and stickers and stuff like that. But where do you think the upper price for a fan is?
I think it's a lot higher than people would expect. We've been working with a few sort of those independent music labels who support artists in different ways. Someone we've been speaking with a lot recently is Pledge Music, and they have these kind of fan experience packages. We were talking to them about tying scenes to those things or giving T-shirt giveaways, but I think it can go upwards of thousands of dollars if you're talking about things like a backstage pass or, dinner with your favorite artist. I mean, honestly, it's like you said, it's as low as maybe a couple bucks all the way up to, I think, thousands of dollars for these kind of the more intimate you get with the artist, I think, the sort of the sky's the limit with that.
Yeah, as long as you think it through. I mean, there are some things where, come to our rehearsal studio, that doesn't quite go, and it doesn't matter who the artist is. If it's not interesting, it's not good. But you're right, experiential things are certainly a better product, I think, or a good bundle, if nothing else.
No, exactly. I think that, more and more people want access to these artists, and I think a lot of people are willing to spend top dollar to connect with them and to kind of be involved in the process any way they can.
So what are the other features of Owsinski that are you think are better than competition or just are features that an artist should know about?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest thing, especially for musicians, is this idea that there's no minimum orders. You don't have to order 100 shirts at a time. You can order just one. And then there's no hidden fees or ambiguous compensation. A lot of times these musicians will sign these merchandising contracts and they're like, oh, I didn't realize that I'm paying X percentage for, having an on-site staff selling the T-shirts or that kind of thing. And I think the biggest advantage is this idea that we do full color. that we print one-off on demand. Compared to the Cafe Press and the Zazzle, it's like you just have so much, such a greater opportunity to make considerable margins and to set your own prices. I've been on both of those sites, and I found that creating the store was not very intuitive. The storefront itself looks really crummy. If you check out some of our nicer stores, like Joe Marsden is an artist we've been working with recently, and it's just, sort of like the way that you can set up the background and connect to your social media. It's very personal. It really looks really cool, I think. It really is great for brand building. So it's just this idea that it's something very true to the artist's own brand. And again, it's completely no risk and no cost to them. Those other ones, I found that their design tools can be clunky, or even you're agreeing to sign these agreements with them. I'm going to pay X percentage, and like I set up a cafe press, so I wasn't sure how much money I was making on things, or exactly what products it was going on to sometimes, and it sort of didn't look very nice. Where our stores, it really feels like a marketplace. It feels like a community. It's fun to browse people's shops. And obviously it's early days for us, but this idea of it being a community is really something we're looking to grow over time. Again, it's not going to happen overnight. And we're really sort of at this time being selective about how we're growing, because we want to just make sure we're nailing what we're doing before we try to expand or grow too quickly.
How about payment? Is there a payment gateway built in? What does the artist have to do in order to sign up?
So the way it works for the artist is that we accept Stripe from the customers.
Okay.
And then the artist would go on and they would give their bank account that they want the money transferred into. So they go on to the platform, they set up their bank account, they set all their prices for the different products, and then once an order comes in, we take out our margin, and then we send the artist all of their profit as revenue, and then we release that to the artist every 2 weeks, which, again, is another advantage. If you look at some of these other companies, like, for instance, Teespring is a competitor of ours, and they do basically like a Kickstarter campaign where you say, I'm going to print 200 T-shirts at $20 a shirt, and then if that campaign fails, then they will print the T-shirts and send them out and give you money, which can be sometimes months later, and the person who bought the T-shirt has no idea you even bought it anymore at that point. But with us, it's every 2 weeks, and the only reason we even wait that long is we just want to make sure, in case there's any problems with shipping or there's any returns or anything like that, that we're able to handle it and make sure, because the customer satisfaction is above all else what we're focused on. So every 2 weeks the money we deposit directly into the fan's account. And another neat thing is that they go on and they have their own dashboard. So if you go to your profile, you can check out all your different stores, and they'll tell you, what your top selling products are, and who ordered it from what part of the country and what regions are doing the best in, and how your sales fluctuate from month to month and from region to region, and who's viewed your store and how many people are converting. So we're really giving them some nice analytics to play around with. For some people, they don't really care, but for a lot of people, it's really interesting, and it allows you to kind of nail down your niche and understand your marketplace better, and just get better at connecting with your fans and understand better who these fans are, which is something that we offer to everyone through the platform for free.
Yeah, something I noticed about your platform is for customer support. What do you call it? Your customer happiness?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I looked at that and I thought, wow, that's brilliant, because it makes you feel good right away. It's like, wow, okay, this is really important.
And we are, the whole team is sitting around. We all can see those things that come in, and we just send them to the most appropriate person, and we're happily answering all those questions all day for sure. That's something we pride ourselves on, is being quick with the response and being thorough, because, like I said, the customer always comes first for us.
So who's your ultimate customer? And that, where do the responses come from? Are they coming from the artist, or are they coming from the artist customer? Ultimately, which, I guess the artist is your customer, really, right?
Correct. So we knew initially we had this amazing platform for people to create their own shops. Who is it most relevant for? And originally we were thinking, designers would love this. I'm a graphic designer. I'm an artist. They're going to go on the platform. What we found is that, yes, they do like it, and it makes a lot of sense, but, there's Redbubble, there's Society6, and they're different than us, and we have our advantages, and they have their advantages. But what we found is that, for instance, for the band, we're solving a really tangible problem for them, and that's something that we've had an overwhelming response with. Some place where we're getting a lot of traction now, we're young, and we're just seeing who is this most beneficial for, where are we getting the most traction, and we're finding influencers, people with large Instagram followers or celebrities. Kind of the most exciting thing we've had happen yet actually was unmusic related. Last week, Ryan Serhant who's on that Bravo show $1 Million Listing, who's recently named the number one broker in New York.
Yeah.
We sent him some stuff. We reached out to him, and then he took a picture and put it on his Instagram and said, "Hey, Axico, thanks for sending me this gear. Can't wait to set up my shop." And then, within a couple of days, we've got 10,000 likes. We're getting hundreds of people saying, "Where can we sign up? Where can we sign up?" And we've actually asked him specifically to hold off on tweeting out the link to his story. And his story exists. You can go check it out. So for your listeners, they can go right now and buy a Ryan Serrano's iPhone cover. But we waited to hold off because, again, we want to make sure that the back end is completely nailed, that we're ready to scale this up quickly. But that was a huge, exciting thing for us because, we've got people clamoring for it. So we never even thought, that celebrities would be the most obvious person to go after, but we've been reaching out to, we heard back from a bunch of people who were on America's Got Talent just today. Surprisingly, actually, politicians have been contacting us. Bernie Sanders has a store right now, and that's something that's kind of against our creative entrepreneurship. It flies a little in the face of that, but, it's something that people are interested in setting up shop, and we made this platform for everyone. If it's a college kid who thinks he has really funny tweets and wants to put them on a T-shirt and tell them to his friends, that's great. That's exactly what we want. It's really for anyone who thinks, I wish I had a T-shirt store, or an iPhone cover store, or a hoodie store, but I don't know how to go about it, and I don't have the money to get the samples made. It's like, well, you upload them, and now you have your own store. I think that idea of just giving creative people an avenue to kind of express this creativity and to maybe earn some money, that's really what motivates us more than anything.
But the world is kind of going to on-demand, though. The whole world for everything. So really, why should it be any different for merchandise like this?
Exactly. And something we kind of touched upon earlier is everything is it's digital now. Oh, you read a tweet, that's funny. You see an Instagram picture, that's great. What we want is you see an Instagram picture, and then you click on it, and instead of saying put it on Facebook, put it on Twitter, it says, get inked. And boom, it's on a T-shirt, and now you have that T-shirt. And it's something to hold in your hand. It's something real. Like, what we really are proud of is that we're making real items that people enjoy, that people can share, that people, connect with their fans through. And that's what we really like. It's not just this kind of digital out in cyberspace, something or other. People are wearing our products. People are protecting their phones and showing off their cool design. And, that's really exciting for us.
What do you find works best on a T-shirt? Like, what kind of design? Is there a commonality between the things that work and things that don't?
I think what we found too is kind of simple is always good. Don't overthink it. Advice that we give to designers is be specific. So in other words, if you want to say, hey, I want to make a funny T-shirt store, say, hey, I want to make a funny dog T-shirt store. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to connect better with your fan base if you try to get specific, and you're going to have more success selling if it's something that's more identifiable. I have a funny idea for tech-related jokes as opposed to just saying I want to write about comedy or something. So being specific, I think, finding your niche, understanding your audience, those are always important. And, don't be too busy with the design. Switching colors, every different letter is not fun. It makes it hard to read. So things like that are things we give advice to. But, people have success with all sorts of stuff.
Are you saying that you should have multiple stores then, if, for instance, a designer or an artist has?
Absolutely.
Yeah, really?
Absolutely. So you can have, the way you can break it down is if you're a band, you can have, just the one store. But, let's just say, like for me, I have one store where, I have pictures of my chihuahua on there. And I have another store that's like, just funny stuff. And then another one is like, I made a store for my fantasy football league. So things like that. It's like, the cool thing is, and something that we're looking for in the future too, is we think college kids is a logical next step. Fraternities, sororities, club sports teams, these are people already printing T-shirts. These are creative, fun, kids with a little extra money in their pocket to spend on T-shirts, and that's exactly who we think are great target audiences. So for them, it's another great opportunity. For Greek Life, you can go on and people can order T-shirts through our store. Not have to worry about ordering the right size or make a funny Rush T-shirt or make a funny Pledge T-shirt. And, those are things that we make it super easy through your profile to have multiple stores. So that's just something you have one central hub and you manage all the stores from one location.
Is there a merchandise item that you see coming on strong that maybe you don't have right now as an offering, but you see maybe bubbling under?
Yeah, and we've been getting a lot of requests for the tote bag. since we do work with a lot of musicians, something that we've heard more than a few times is, these artists want vinyls. And that's something we looked into and we thought about doing. But you know what? It's like we want to stay in our wheelhouse. And vinyls are very specific. And the people who do them well, it's a very kind of, not intense, but, these people are smart. They've been doing this for a long time. We don't want to just presume we can break into an industry just on a whim. So that's not something we've said no to for sure, but we're not going to just roll it into our platform without giving it a thought. So I think vinyl for artists is something we hear. People want the kind of the record, which is cool. But I think for us, if I just had to pick one product that was going to be the next, it would be tote bags. I think a lot of women especially request those because they're really cool and you could throw them over your shoulder and people, it's pretty easy to print on. So people seem to like those a lot.
I always wondered that if a lot of people like vinyl and they don't even play the vinyl, but they like the album cover. And I think
people like the idea.
Yeah, I always wondered if maybe that's a product in itself. The album cover without the vinyl, or with something else that's a little more tangible. I don't know what it is, but again, people like that. I can remember when I was a kid, and I'm a lot older than you, but when record stores were around, you'd go in and you'd flip through all the records, and you would buy some just based on the album art. You look at it and think, "Wow, this is cool." So I'm just wondering if that's a product in itself. Just the album cover by itself.
I think you're totally right. Another thing we've looked into, and we actually originally had on the platform, and then we took it down because we want to find the perfect vendor and the perfect manufacturing process. But the canvas prints. So in other words, someone takes a picture of a sunset or a beach, and then you print one of those things to hang up on your couch. Really nice, really high quality canvas. Or we had originally worked with a vendor that does this really cool sort of acrylics or metallic kind of one. And it's maybe a foot by a foot. And then you can print the album cover on there and hang it on your wall. And those look really cool. So I think that's definitely something that I would say within the next few months we'll have on the site almost definitely.
Wow, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Did you ever think of things like, or I'm sure you thought of it, but what's your opinion of things like coffee cups and mugs and stuff like that?
Yeah, we do the coffee mug now. We actually have that as our fourth item. It's cool. I think the coffee mug, it's simple. It's very classic. Everyone knows the coffee mug, so we have it on there now. We don't anticipate it to sell 10 million of them, but it's a nice option to have. And especially, for people who like putting photos and stuff on there, we find it's cool. Or just for we've actually had a few startups order those because they really drink the coffee out of them. That's kind of fun. So again, just this idea, people like to hold it in their hand, literally. So the coffee mug is something we actually currently have on the site, and we think they're pretty cool.
Are they acrylic or ceramic? Ceramic. Okay. But because one of the problems with that has always been shipping, breakage and shipping. Mm-hmm. And they're bulky too. So that, it's the other thing.
They're not easy to pack. Yeah, agreed. But, we're getting the packing down pretty well. We have these 3 cool boxes. So far, we haven't had any breaks or complaints. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. Last question. What's the best piece of business advice that you've received or you learned along the way?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think something that we're learning every day, as much as we do want to test everything out and to find the path of least resistance and see what traction is also, I think what we're getting better at is to really nail down, your core strengths before anything and then iterate and then get better. Especially in the early days of the site, when we were building out the site, we were just telling, here's a cool feature, add this, do this. And it's all of them were good ideas. There were no bad ideas. But they were pushing back the site ever actually being launched, So it was kind of yes, we could do all of these things, but let's do a few things really well and nail them, and then we'll say, and now let's add this and see what the best things to add are. You really, something our CEO always stresses, you can't be all things to everyone. It's better to be something great for a few people, So that's, I kind of butchered it a bit, but the idea is, don't do everything at once. And that's something that we're learning every day. And it's hard because we are so excited and we do want to please everyone. But, you're pleasing, they said the harder you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one. So what we're learning is, stay in your lane, do what you do best, and kind of take it one day at a time.
How long did it take you to get up and running?
Yeah, so probably about three or 4 months. to really get the site to where we wanted it to be. You know, we thought it was going to kind of be a little bit of a bigger breeze than it was, but you know, it took probably actually closer to 4 or 5 months to get the site to where we're really proud of it and we really think it's something special and something really neat. We had a very early version of the site pretty quickly, but you know, like I said, before we really sent it out, we wanted to make sure that we were really proud of it and it was something that we knew would work. So yeah, 4 or 5 months, I think, at least.
That's not bad, actually.
No, it's not. We have a really amazing CTO and some amazing developers, both on site and a few that work remote. And these guys, they work their butts off. I really couldn't be prouder of them.
Well, cool. This has been a great conversation. I enjoyed talking to you, and I enjoyed finding out more about Inksy because it's a cool idea. And again, I've used both Zazzle and Cafe Press, so I know the ins and outs of, or the good and bad. Let's put it like that, pros and cons. And definitely,
no. Well, we really appreciate the opportunity. This was great, and we'll keep on reading your posts, and hopefully we'll see Music 3.0 in an Inksy shop soon.
You can find out more about Inksy at inksy.co. That's INKSY.co. Thanks for listening and being in my inner circle. Remember, if you have any questions or comments, send them to questions@bobbioinnercircle.com. I love getting your questions and comments. Many thanks to Steve Cherubino. He's the host of the EDM Producer Podcast at edmmr.com. He helps put the show together. Thank you kindly, Steve. To listen to other episodes of Bobby Owsinski's Inner Circle, go to bobbyowsinski.com and select the podcast tab, or go to bobbyowinnercircle.com or find it on iTunes or Stitcher. At bobbyowsinski.com and bobbyowinnercircle.com, you'll find a sign-up form for my newsletter and for alerts for new podcasts. This is Bobby Owsinski. I'll see you next time.